Hiring a family law attorney is about the second most important decision that you're going to be making during your divorce. And from the men I speak with, about 85% of them, they regret their decision. And there's a reason for that. That's why this video must be comprehensive. So comprehensive that in the description section, I'll be adding a link for a cheat sheet so that you can use it while you're interviewing attorneys. As a divorce coach, I've tried to collaborate with dozens of family law attorneys. And you'd think, right? You'd think that I'd have a few in my arsenal to recommend. Wrong. Attorneys, they have this stereotype as being greedy, blood-sucking, pay-me-till-you're broke predators. And I'm not saying this is the case for all of them, but as I tried collaborating with them, it's been 100% about their bottom line. And I mean, divorce attorneys, they're amongst the highest paid in their industry. I hope I'm proved wrong, and I'm open to any kind of collaboration with them. But to date, every call, it's been a disappointment. To paraphrase Ronald Reagan. Well, some say that the law is the second oldest profession, but there's been times when it reminds me of the first. But the money, that's not the biggest problem here. If they get the job done, I'd say power to them. But what I'm trying to say is that at least try to earn your keep. Earn your dollar. Make it worth every once in a while. Many, they just follow the status quo and they do nothing. They do shit but wait for the courts while your ass is having a midlife crisis. What, you haven't seen your kids for 3 months? Let's file a motion and wait another month, only to have the judge revisit the motion. There's just a lack of urgency here, and it's usually because, well, they already got their retainers. Seriously, they need an a la carte way of charging, and they have that. Your culture fosters a very reactive way of being. Well, in the meantime, your world is just falling apart, and you cannot see your kids, you're having difficulty paying your bills, you're worried that she's going to do some dumbass restraining order, thereby increasing your anxiety level. And lawyers, they do not contribute to your peace of mind, but instead, they impede it. But you still need them. They just have to take a more proactive approach, but they don't. They just don't, and that's what bothers me there. Not the greed, but their lack of vision. Ask any divorce lawyer, not a divorce attorney, but a divorced lawyer, one that doesn't specialize in family law. Ask them how expensive their divorce was. Many of these guys, they'll gloat about how their case was, as far as they know, the most expensive in attorney's fees, or how the case took years. Now, this is telling me that they don't know what to do, that they're just going through the motion without thinking of what the other person's going to do. Often, they'll fire the first divorce attorney, and some even go up to 3 divorce attorneys. The same people that know the system, they can't do shit about the system, and they can't think 3 or 4 steps in advance. They may have tact, they'll file motions, they know the ins and outs, but they just can't think outside the box. Many are speaking basic math when they should be speaking probability theory. So instead of 100 divided by 2 is half, right? They should be thinking the probability of your ex taking half your crap, given that California is a community property state, is equal to, and get this, equal to what you've earned during the marriage, minus all those business expenses that you were incurring, minus those loans your wife doesn't know about, loans your family that gave you a long time ago that you have to pay back, minus the $20,000 you're about to spend to get a daddy makeover, minus the most effective and confident divorce coach you're hiring, the guy you're watching right now. So this is where basically from today till the divorce, she's going to be paying for half the shit that you're buying and cannot be used as community property. So you get to keep it. Oh, and we'll file that pre-motion to address your concerns about a possible restraining order, because that shouldn't be happening. A pre-motion, also known as a meet and confer or a letter of motion. And yes, they do exist, and these are actual strategies. Did your attorney tell you that? I have this. I messed up. So again, they know tact, but they need to be more proactive. And just like they need the courts and ethics, there's a serious necessity for strategic thinking in law. How did family lawyers become some of the highest paid professions in the legal field? How? By keeping you in suspense. That's how. So for those reasons, I've yet to endorse any attorneys. And that's where, as a coach, I come in to help guide you and address different options in your divorce, because some may not give you the litany of options that you have available to you. For instance, is it better to give up your Roth IRA or your 401k in the settlement? And can you do one or the other? Can you substitute less of your retirement with more alimony? Or how about, despite you having your kids for that day, she decides not to have you see them? What, another petition? What are the consequences besides bitching to the judge for the 10th time? Is the attorney even prepared for when this happens? Make sure that they add all this stuff to the custody arrangements. But that said, if you're watching this and you practice family law, reach out to me. Prove me wrong here, because I do want to be wrong. And if you're getting divorced, start asking your attorneys questions about what Plan B is and so forth. In the description of this video, you're going to see a link. Open the link and it comes with a question that you should be asking every attorney. And because I'm not a lawyer, nor do I want to be one, my attorney said that I need to make the disclaimer to consult your attorney first. And in this video, you're going to learn what to ask your attorney. And this is the most comprehensive attorney video that you need to see, because if done correctly, the combination of this video and working with me, it's going to save you in the thousands. In the comment section, you're going to see a link to join our Facebook group and to make a one-on-one. Or you could just click here and it'll take you there. I'll show you the light, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and how to start your tomorrow today. So with that in mind, what kind of questions do you ask when interviewing attorneys? Let's find out, and let's start revving that engine. There's going to be a lot of information covered in this video, so please use the cheat sheet provided with this program and take notes while listening or watching. When looking for divorce attorneys, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. There are multiple factors to consider, like the attorney that your spouse chose or the judge assigned to your case. Begin your research by asking divorced friends their experience with their lawyer, and if there were any surprises, any regrets, what they would do different. There are lots of attorneys review sites on Google and leading you to question their credibility. The more credible review sites are Avvo, lawyers.com, and Yelp. The links are both on the cheat sheet and in the description of the video. When searching for attorneys, you're going to see more ads than you'd like to see. Through my research, I found that the best attorneys don't go through ads, but rather referrals. Prior to interviewing attorneys, it's strongly recommended that you start a new email. I got my email hacked by my ex, and it was a costly mistake. Store all important documents like your W-2, your pay stubs, your current bank accounts, and credit cards in a safe place. If you have financial information on your ex, store it. Don't wait until the end. Don't wait until you get handed those papers. Instead, if you suspect it, just start saving things. Don't be in denial. They'll come in handy later. Now, you've done your homework on promising attorneys to meet and have proper documentation. Let's get to the interview process. Meet with at least 3 lawyers. The majority of them offer a free consultation, but I've actually paid for a few of their consultations. Make a list of questions to ask them. Here, I provide a list of questions, but no 2 cases are the same, so I can't cover everything. Ask if you can record the conversation. Some may say that it may impact the answer that they give you, and if that's the case, consider it a good sign from the attorney. If the office appears bad energy, don't dismiss it. Divorce is tough enough. You don't want to go somewhere where it brings up bad energy. See how much family law the attorney practices. It doesn't have to be someone who exclusively works with men, or even someone who practices family law, but it should be with someone that at least has 50% of their cases in family law. Ask how many cases they are currently on. Here's a story about my 2 divorce attorneys. My first attorney was organized, got back to me right away, was empathetic, set my priorities straight, and she would let me know about her billing terms right away. And if something was troubling me that wasn't law dependent, she reminded me that she made a very expensive mental health counselor. I didn't retain her during my second divorce because she was a golden retriever, and during my second divorce, I needed a bulldog, a real dick. During my second divorce, I went with expecting to take this to trial. 100%. This is going to go to trial. That's what I thought. So as my second attorney, I still didn't know where the money went. He put a recent law school graduate on my case, and when I brought this up to his attention, he made me a nice offer to feel free to look somewhere else. I wanted to hire a dick, but it turns out that I did hire a dick towards anyone, not just her. When interviewing these attorneys, go in knowing that the average cost per divorce in California is $17,000 per party. In Florida, it's $20,000 if you have children. Therefore, efficiency is key. A perfectly appropriate question to ask is how much their average client spends on their divorce. They're going to say, it depends. But I call bullshit there. Corner them. Have them give you a number. Any number. Ask what percentage of the cases go to trial. Ask about their billing practice. See if they can show you a dummy bill and walk you through the bill. I can tell you that often these bills They can be as complex as reading a medical bill. Everyone speaks about having to file first. I don't particularly subscribe to this philosophy. That is, unless you're 100% sure that you're going to be going to trial, which no one really is. Therefore, a good question to ask is what percentage of their cases go to trial? The answer, nationally, it's not so simple. Estimates range from 2% by some experts to 5% by CBS to 7% according to a Massachusetts survey. This is because for the most part, courts, they don't want to get involved in family law. Therefore, at worst, you have a 93% chance of this staying out of trial. And mediation has been shown to be equally effective with 90 to 95% of cases being resolved. To give you a perspective, I spent nearly 6 figures on my first divorce, and that didn't go to trial. So ask them what percentage of their cases go to trial, and the lower number, the better. Trials are expensive, and you don't want a judge making your decision on your children and where you're going to live. It will be a lose-lose case. You want an attorney that's a good negotiator, to the point, one that will tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. There are some people who say that it does help to file first, and the pros do include choice of jurisdiction, being the first to present your case if it does go to trial, being able to set aside some money for the divorce costs, having the right to withdraw your petition if you chose to, and having more of a sense of control over the situation. Ask how long they've been practicing law. If you're not comfortable with the topic of money, let the attorney know that you're limited experience with divorce and you have certain questions like how they charge. For instance, what if it takes them 30 minutes to write an email? That can cost you $200. Ask about the retainer fee. If you don't have the money, ask how you can pay for it. Believe me, they've heard it all, and many of them will come up with some rather unique suggestions. With many attorneys, you can even ask for a decrease in price. If an attorney charges $4.50 an hour, ask if they're cool with $400 an hour instead. Often, there will be an automatic temporary restraining order, or ATROS, in place, saying that you can't take out your retirement. But courts, they're sensitive to this when it comes to legal representation, so ask the attorney if there are any consequences for withdrawing from your 401k. Other options include the equality of justice assumption, where if the spouse is making more income than the other spouse, they're apt to pay for all of the other spouse's attorney's fees. And this can work to your disadvantage because during both of my divorces, my ex had this stipulation. Imagine having to pay someone to be kicking my ass. If neither party is able to pay, mediation through the state process can be done. My first wife, she paid for the retainer initially, and then at the end of the settlement, she paid for the attorney fee with the part of the retirement that I gave her. If for some reason your ex is the main money winner, ask your attorney if your ex will be paying your fee. Ask the best method for communicating with them. Often, due to legal issues, it may be the email process, but both of mine were texters. Ask what you should expect to pay in alimony and child support. They should be telling you this by the first meeting. It's funny now, but when I first heard how much I'll be paying, I cried. According to Director of Family Law, Randy Kessler, child support in California is 10 times what it is in Nevada or Georgia. There are certain laws in different states that say that the courts can't take out more than 50% of your paycheck. That's a misnomer because that's 50% of your gross pay. You're still paying the taxes, the health insurance, the retirement. Since I decided to move out and she was a stay-at-home mom, I ended up with only 30% take home from my paycheck. Ask about your rights, like the rights with your children and your housing. And ask what your obligations are to your ex along with the bills. As I alluded to earlier, you gotta ask who's gonna handle your case. You may be surprised to hear that it's an associate or a paralegal. If you're the respondent, ask how long you have to respond, what appropriate steps to take, and what the next steps are once you retain them. Again, if you're the respondent, ask if they know the attorney representing your ex, what their experiences have been with them. If they don't know this, it may be a reflection on your attorney's lack of family law or your ex's lack of family law knowledge. Ask if they know the judge in charge of the case. Unless it's a new judge, if they don't know who the judge is, that can be a real deal breaker because they need to know the judge as they prepare for you on what to expect. Ask how quickly they respond to your messages. Ask about your rights, especially your rights as a father, to your house, how much your finances you can take out, how much you can stop them from getting your mutual credit cards. Ask if your state recognizes legal separation. What's your state's definition of legal separation? Do you fall into that category? If you don't know what it means to be legally separated, ask them. You may not be thinking about this now, and it may be uncomfortable for you to ask, but you got to ask about dating. Again, even if you're not there, 95% of guys start dating prior to the divorce papers being signed. If you haven't seen an attorney yet, speak to me first. I don't give legal advice. I'm not an attorney, but I try to give as strategic advice as possible. Due to my values as a parent, though, the only part that I do not touch and I don't go into is how to pay less child support. I've had guys try that on me, and I put a stop to it right away. Ask about what happens if she destroys your property. What about adding security cameras around the house? Something simple like ring would be suffice. You'll be surprised how many fellas have been put under a temporary restraining order or worse. I've spoken with dozens of guys that have had to spend some time in jail because of domestic violence claims. Just as simple, he touched me, and you're now in a legal rather than civil case. Ask when, if, or if you should move out. I'll tell you right now, the person moving out typically loses, but you should still look into it. Remember that staying the night at your friend's house or your family member for a few days or weeks, it doesn't qualify you as moving out, so that's something to consider doing. Bring with you copies of your W-2 and pay stubs along with current bank accounts and credit cards. This is key to having them give you an idea of how much alimony and child support you're probably going to have to pay. They can calculate it in a matter of seconds, so don't leave without having an idea. Some may give you a worst case scenario and some will give you a best case scenario, but make sure that you ask and get the answer for your own sanity. Depending on the state that you live in, they can say that it's all up to the judge, but I'll say this. When interviewing my attorneys, if they didn't give me that information, it was a disqualifier for me. The reason I disqualified them if they didn't share it was simple. I need someone that's a good communicator, and this simple act of sharing information to me was just basics of communication. This part is applicable to those residing in one of these 7 states: Utah, Illinois, North Carolina, Hawaii, New Mexico, Mississippi, and South Dakota. If you live in any of these 7 states, ask about the alienation of affection law. This law means that if your ex cheated, you can sue her lover for damaging your marriage. Ask your attorney about it and if they have any experience with it. Many guys are reluctant to use this law because, well, we just want to get it over with. But if your ex is still with the guy and she's suing your ass for alimony, going after him may make her stop and think twice for going after you. By now your head is spinning. It sucks you're going through this, and I gave you a ton of information. I typically try to make my videos more uplifting, but this one, I just can't because the subject matter is too serious. The cheat sheet is attached for this video, but if interviewing attorneys, I would listen to this video again as well as print out the attached questionnaire and add as many questions as you see fit for your case.